We're Meadows, and this is the KingdomCore podcast.
Let those days, let those are after. She in a job is small. She look back. She remembered the laughter. It was a hard.
Hey guys, welcome to the KingdomCore podcast. Sean here. Today we have a great episode. We just finished up our interview with Meadows, the entire band. It's our first interview with a full band, and we had an amazing conversation. They just recently signed to Face Down Records. They played Furnace Fest, and they released a new album in those days and also after. We had an amazing conversation. Chris, why don't you tell our listeners what we chatted about today and tell them about our Patreon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had an awesome conversation with the guys. We talked some tour stories and just some of their experience at Furnace Fest, as well as kind of going in depth more on the concept and the story behind the album, which was super cool to hear. So I'm definitely looking forward to you guys getting to hear this. We just want to remind you guys that we have a Patreon page now. You guys can go and support us financially if you so choose. If it's something you guys want to be a part of, we got like a Facebook group that you can be a part of. We have special perks like being mentioned at the end of a podcast episode and in credits, as well as sometime in the near future, we'll have some of you guys join even with an audible clip to be part of the podcast. Just as a thank you to those who have become patrons already, we had Peter from Christian Metal Source, Candy from Christ for Metal, and as well as Jonathan Lehman and William Fournier. So thank you. Hopefully I got your guys' names right, but thank you so much for supporting us already. From now on, we'll have you guys listed at the end of the podcast episode in a credit scroll.
Because of your generosity, you guys can see me now. I got a ring light, so you guys can actually see my face. So thank you. We appreciate it.
And a table to put the
mic on. Yes, a little TV tray stand. So thank you guys for your generosity.
It would also be a super huge help if you guys went onto whatever streaming service that you're listening on, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even on YouTube. If you guys would hit the download button, stream it, hit like, leave a review,
5-star rating.
5-star rating on like Apple Podcasts. It's a super huge help. It'll actually let the podcast be heard by more and more people around the world. And it's super awesome so far, the support that we've received from you guys. So thank you very much.
So with that, let's get into our episode number 5 with the band Meadows. Meadows boys, thanks for joining us today. We're excited to have you guys on. How are you guys doing today?
We
awesome.
are
great, wonderful,
great, fantastic.
It's Friday.
It's Friday, yes. TGIF. So it's been quite an eventful couple past months for you guys. You guys got signed to Face Down, released your first record. You guys got to play Furnace Fest. How was Furnace Fest? I want to hear all about that.
It was epic. I mean, just to see what it was, not just for like everybody that was there, or like for us like individually, but like just to see the genuine buzz like in the city. Like every Uber driver I talked to was like, I mean, you could tell they had no idea what the music was, but like they're like, oh, Furnace Fest. And like they're on like the sports talk radio, and they were talking about like the new UAB stadium and like how people coming in for Furnace Fest are gonna get to see it and things like that. And I'm like, so
oh wow,
people know about it here, and it was extremely well done. Like, I mean, it honestly, I said this in a comment to Johnny on Johnny Grimes, who's one of the guys that put it together that helped get us on. But I was like, man, you guys really caught lightning in a bottle. Like, it was epic.
It looked like a fun time for sure.
Yeah, even outside of playing, like just attending the whole weekend was awesome.
Yeah. It was definitely a special time, and it's just like a great moment for Birmingham in general, because there's so many people from out of town just being able to see like Birmingham in a good light, like the city that it actually is.
What was it like playing such a huge festival? I think you guys opened up Sunday, if I remember right, or were one of the first bands. How big was your crowd? What was that like? Just take us through that.
It's tough to kind of gauge, really, because I think they had mentioned there were like I don't know, 12,000 tickets,
Whew.
like kind of spread around. And then, I went to a concert in Nashville that was sold out. It was indoors, but they said it was like a 600 cap room. And I was like, we had more people standing outside by the fountains.
Yeah.
It seemed like, and I mean, it's hard to tell. There's several hundred though. And
That's
I mean,
awesome.
looking back at like the pictures and stuff, it's one of those things where like in the moment, it kind of like there's just this fog, and then
Yeah.
like you look back at the pictures, and Armando cropped one out and was like, "Dude, look at that sea of people."
Yeah.
I mean,
I saw some video clips. It looked like a lot of people.
man, it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was an adrenaline rush. I got off stage and I was just like, "Oh my god, I am so emotional right now."
Yeah.
I told my wife, I was like, "Give me 5 minutes, okay?" I was like, it got me. It was an honor for sure.
I'm guessing that's probably the largest crowd you guys have played in front of before. Would you say?
Yeah, we played Ichthus one year.
Okay.
But aside from that, yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. So what was the energy like just all weekend at Furnace Fest? You had so many amazing bands getting back together, doing reunions, who go through like the bands that you guys saw, who you guys were most excited to see.
Defeater,
Mm-hmm.
man, Defeater. And it was like, as soon as I got there, they were on. So I was like, okay, I can't miss this.
Yeah, we saw, so like, having like an artist wristband or whatever, we got the opportunity to stand like side stage. So we all stood side stage for Terror, and that band just rips. I mean, they were so good.
Especially live, they just really blew all of us away. So all of us were just like, "Oh my gosh, their live performance is just phenomenal."
You're asking about energy at the fest just in general, and just like that band's energy from start to finish. Like, if anything, they had more energy at the end of their set than at the beginning. Like, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, He Is Legend like really blew me away with their live performance as well. They were just insane.
They were insane.
I was telling you, their drummer was just blowing my mind. He was nonstop the whole time.
Dude, I don't know. It's like I feel like we could have these conversations for like ever about like
Yeah.
which band was like, oh wow, like it was just legendary. Like Shai Hulud, and then like Comeback Kid,
Comeback Kid.
I mean Turnstile.
To be honest, it was kind of difficult because every single band was of such a high caliber. You were just running from stage to stage, seeing back-to-back bands that I didn't think I'd ever see live, just in 3 continuous days. So it was just like 100% the whole time.
The energy was so great. Like everybody was in such good spirits. I didn't see like a single sour face the whole time. I mean, it's just wild. And like walking backstage, or like going to like the food area and like seeing everybody from like Emory or like S Cities Burn, and just across the board. It was such a great environment in general.
Yeah, if I ever got to go there, I would definitely have been hanging out at like the labeled stage. All the
Dude,
Tooth and
next
Nail
year
bands.
they're doing it
I know.
again.
Yeah.
Oh,
I gotta
dude.
go.
Next year. Are you guys gonna play next year?
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows?
We can hope. I'll be there either way, whether we
Right.
play or not. And we've all got houses here if y'all need spots to crash. So.
Actually, Sean and I were talking about hopefully one day we'll get to meet each other, and it'll most likely be at like Face Down Fest.
Yeah. But if you guys don't know, I'm down in Southern California. Chris is up in Canada.
I did not know that.
Oh, wow.
I'm the Canadian guy, West Coast, BC, near Vancouver.
That's wild. So y'all haven't even met.
No.
Yeah, no, we've never met in person. We've just had dozens of calls like this. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, for our listeners who may not know you guys, how about you guys go through and introduce what your name is and what you play?
My name is Christian. I play the microphone in the band.
My name is Evan, and I play drums in the band.
My name is Stone, and I play guitar
In the band.
in the band.
I'm Armando, and I play guitar in the band.
I'm Brandon. I'm also in the band. I play bass in the band.
Nice.
And together you are.
Together we are a band.
We are
Kinda like
Meadows.
I was looking for
Together we-
Meadows, but
Together we are Meadows Band.
there you go.
Currently
So,
on Facebook.
At Meadows Band.
So tell us, what is Meadows? What's the inspiration behind the name? Inspiration behind your sound? Just explain what Meadows is to listeners who may not have heard you guys before.
Well, I'll take the first portion of that. I guess when we started with our original vocalist, I was in high school. I was a senior in high school, and we were kind of just tossing names around and just kind of really more so like the mission of what we wanted to do. So like I guess if you had to say we had like a mission statement, it's like planting seeds of love amidst fields of hate. And that's really what we are as Meadows. Like Christian says all the time from the stage, like if you support us in any way, you are a part of Meadows. And it's just really that idea of like expanding something that's beautiful, to keep it growing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
That's awesome.
So thank you guys for being a part of Meadows. You're now in the band.
Oh. And you guys are a part of KingdomCore and For the Rock, so thank you guys.
Right
Absolutely.
on. We're exclusive Canadians now.
So you guys just released a new record in those days and also after. It's a 3-part record, or I guess 3 EPs into 1 LP. Would you guys mind taking us behind the concept of that? Yeah, give us the whole the whole enchilada about that.
Yeah, it's quite an enchilada. One might call it a burrito, but no, I think it's always funny. I get this question asked, and I feel like I answer it differently every time in a way. But I love to tell stories. Essentially, I love good filmmaking, good storytelling in general, and then a good project EP or album, just really something that's going to be thought provoking as well. So something that has meaning, has purpose. And so something I've said before is every single thing about this album was on purpose, has a meaning behind it. So if it's a color on something, or if it's a certain verbiage, or different song titles within each part. Armando and I used to live together before we each went off and got married, and we now live with our wives and dogs. But we would just stay up all the time, storyboarding what is this going to be. And so, my grandmother, the initial inspiration, before she had passed, she spent maybe the last 11 or so years of her life working on a novel called In Those Days and Also After. And it's written from the perspective of Noah's wife, from, the story of Noah in the Bible. And so I remember just staying up with her a ton of nights, talking about Bible stuff, talking about, the story, talking about really anything. She was just beyond wise, and always just wanted to talk about everything. And that's probably where I get all of, that love for great storytelling and artistry. But the actual story that I've adapted is, it follows a family, based in the 60s and 70s. It's not any one of our actual families. People often ask that. I write very both empathetically and sympathetically. This one more so sympathetically, and just trying to connect, and in some ways trying to connect in ways, for something that I've not personally experienced, but I felt led and called to write about. So that's kind of where the story was birthed. I think it really started, with the dove, and thinking about a lot of our moms and single moms elsewhere that just kind of pulled their bootstraps up and put in the work to raise a family in the middle of something. And so part 1 talks about the flood, the raven, and the dove. And part 1 thematically, the song titles pull from the story of Noah. So the flood kind of being that catalyst event, and then the raven, being the bird that was sent out to see if the flood had died down, but didn't return. And so if you notice, thematically for the songs, the flood is kind of that catalyst event within the story that we're telling of the dad leaving out and, having that car crash, and then the raven being prospectively from the son about the dad not returning and just kind of dealing with that bitterness and that heart towards it. And then the dove referencing the mom, the bird that does return with the olive branch and what that signifies. And so part one kind of goes through the story of Noah in a sense within the story of itself. It's kind of like, telling a meta story within a story within a story. And then you get, part two, and it's the inheritance, the absence, and the embrace. And so it thematically will follow with the prodigal son. And then you move on to part three, and it kind of plays this situational irony where if you pay attention to any of the dates from any of the previous songs, you're realizing that this is going back to the first night that it happened. And part three kind of goes in that prequel sense, and you follow the dad instead. And so it kind of follows thematically with the story of Jonah, talking about the call, the depths, and then the answer. And so all of it just kind of has this thing where, I wanted to do as much as I could for every single piece of it to tie something else in. And, if you're paying attention to this song, like, oh, that's the same thing from this song. And it's kind of got this rhyming theme throughout as well, where, history kind of repeats itself. And that's, what is the inheritance that we take, from our fathers and things like that. So there's just a ton to it. There's a lot to unpack. It's a burrito.
Yeah.
It's
a multi-layer burrito.
Yeah, it's a 7-layer burrito.
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
That is so awesome. That's actually really cool hearing kind of the concept behind it, because that was actually a lot more in depth than what I had heard just in little glimpses online. But tying with all of that, how does the album art really kind of incorporate? I was curious about some of the stuff on the cover, and then there's the symbols on the robe that the guy's wearing. If you guys could have a bunch of stuff into that would be really cool to hear.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk into that a little bit. I'm always a bit on the fence of how much, we want to share, leave up to someone's interpretation, I guess. But essentially, I do all of our graphic design, all of our merch, and album artwork, and have pretty much since the beginning. We've had a couple of collaborations, but for the most part, I do everything. So since we started this project, I had essentially been working on an emblem that goes with each individual song. And if you notice the EP cover art, it is 3 emblems that tie in with each 3 songs for the EPs. And coming together for the full-length cover, it's essentially a cover of the father, being representative of the father in the story on the album, who is being represented as a pastor coming from that background. And on the shawl that he's wearing is the emblem of each song. So it's just representing kind of like the coming together of all the songs in one place there. And so it's kind of like just tying together everything that we had been working on and releasing separately, and having him kind of dressed in all white, in the all white background, covered in dirt. For me personally, it was really showing how a lot of us deal with the dirt that we have on the inside of ourselves that not a lot of people see, and that kind of coming to the light. So, having its moment of exposure.
Oh, that's super awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm an aspiring graphic designer doing some art and stuff, so that's always the really interesting thing for me, and what catches my eye when listening to music. I actually care about what the art looks like, because it totally gives everything a vibe.
Oh, definitely.
And like Christian mentioned, everything that we've put out for this project entirely has meaning behind it. Whether it's something that we think someone will pick up on, or they never will, it's there if someone can figure it out at some point in time. So
yeah,
And who is that on the album cover? Is that someone you guys know, or is that just?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
and like I've seen article after article about someone being revealed as like the Nirvana baby or
Oh man.
Yeah, or Jane
that-
Doe from
Yeah.
Converge.
So
yeah.
he's just a really close friend of ours. He's actually the associate pastor at my church that I go to, and has been a close friend of mine for over a decade now. So it was really just like, hey, you got anything going on this afternoon? I think this might
Let me
work
throw
out.
some dirt on you.
Yeah.
Wear some clothes that you don't mind ruining.
Oh yeah.
And you guys had a pretty sweet merch spread for this. Especially, I collect vinyl. I don't know if you can see behind me. I've got my collection right behind me. But you guys had all the etchings on the D side of the second record. Did you guys pitch that idea to Face Down, or did they pitch that? How did that come to be?
It's really a bit of both.
Mhm.
I mean, Jason has been a 10 out of 10, the best to work with in this whole process. And so we just were talking about how can we make this as special as possible for people that either, just collect Face Down records or, want to get their hands on something that we've poured a lot of ourselves into. So we were just thinking about, a bunch of different ways that would be truly just memorable, special, and worthwhile. So having that D side etching is
Yeah, and we really didn't know we were going to get to do that. We knew we wanted to do like a special color for the record, but Jason was like, "Hey, you guys have enough songs, so we're going to have to do two vinyls." And so, the backside D is going to be empty. So do you guys want to screen print? And so Armando put something together.
That's really cool. And kind of touching on that, you mentioned Jason. Why don't you guys walk us through the process of getting signed to Face Down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we it's been a dream of mine personally, and then I mean we all kind of share the same sentiment when I say this. But like finding Sleeping Giant when I was like 14 or 15, and then like falling in love with the label at that point. And like if at any point you'd asked me like what label do you want to be on, like it's a goal, like it's a bucket list goal of mine, like I want to be on Face Down. And so we had when we did our EP release show, the first one that I was a part of for Accretion, we had an awesome lineup. Like one of my like old beatdown bands opened up, and then the rest of it was just tours that played, and then we headlined it. So then it was who played after that? So it was Household, Comrades, Endeavor, and
it was Conveyor.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is a show.
So
what
good.
A lineup!
Yeah, we connected really well with all those bands and all those people. They've really kind of helped us through our growing years, and we're obviously still in that stage. But seeing Comrades get on Face Down was, I mean, such an awesome thing for us to just celebrate them. And then we had our last ditch effort. Like we'd kind of pitched, likewise around, had some conversations with a few labels, and then they kind of fell. And then we were pitching a little bit of part 1, pitching part 2, and then it was like, all right guys, we're about to do part 3, and then there's going to be the full length, so before we put out part 3, let's see if anybody wants to bite. And so we just sent it out again, hit Face Down up, and then Joe was really kind and was
From Comrades.
Yeah, Joe from Comrades. I apologize. Thank you. But yeah, he's like, hey man, I talked to some folks for you guys, and they at least checked it out for us. That's all we were wanting. I was like, I just want to know if someone saw
Listen
it.
to it.
Definitely, yeah.
That's all. So I mean, it's just we've been blessed to have a lot of help from a lot of different people along the way. We need to let them know, Sean, that you and I are playing fantasy football next week. And
Yeah,
Oh
you guys
yeah,
can talk about that.
yeah. Christian and I play. Actually, by the time this will have aired, I will probably have already beaten Christian in fantasy football.
Yeah.
I'm undefeated. Let that show as well, at least for now.
Oh man.
For now,
So
Didn't you just lose a star player, Sean,
I did. I lost Russell Wilson
for 8 weeks?
8
Hey,
weeks,
man.
6-8. Hey, let's be
If it's
optimistic.
destiny, it's destiny. We'll see what happens.
Just real quick, do you guys know Comrades? Like, are you familiar with them?
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Comrades.
Yeah,
I
so-
actually one of the few face down bands I've gotten to
Yeah,
see live.
I've met them a few times too.
Yeah, they're awesome. And just, I know Christian kept mentioning Joe, but we developed this friendship with Joe because we had a really awful van on our first tour. And like,
Yeah.
That man knows a van,
he
right?
knows like cars like the back of his hand. And so Evan over here is like always worried about our van. And we were in, I think, Illinois. And I was like, Evan, I don't really know what to tell you, man, other than let's just go talk to Joe and see if he can look at it.
Well, keep in mind the reason why I was worried. Okay, on our way out, we didn't even get out an hour out of where we live, and we had a massive, dramatic tire blowout.
Dramatic is the best. adjective for
It
that.
was
Oh,
yeah,
no.
we
Did
went
you guys
across,
like spin
4
out?
lanes.
a sparks behind our tires and everything. Around the axle, the wheel itself is now a rectangle.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
hole
man.
like a brick. Yeah, it was really bad.
There's a reason why I'm a little paranoid.
That was on
about
the way to
the-
our first show of the tour. We were not even
No.
an hour away
It
from
was
our
a 30-day
house.
tour.
We were 45 minutes out of Birmingham, maybe.
Did
Yeah, it was
anybody
awesome.
check the tires before he left?
Yeah, we actually drove it to like Pensacola, which is about 4 hours away the weekend before. And we were like, yeah, this new van is great.
So
Yeah,
we ended up running over a giant piece of like right angle metal in the highway, like a huge piece of metal that was just like
And also did not have the weight distributed properly at all. We had probably my body weight worth of what I weigh like 160. We had probably, I remember doing the math on it. We had close to that much, close to 160 pounds of bottled water
yeah.
in the van.
Wow.
I think the tires were just trash. That's
But
we did have to
But
replace
we
the
made
tires
it.
more than once on that.
all
tour,
that to
so-
say, that's why Evan was just concerned about the van. But later on in the tour, we had some other issues, and Joe helped us out. And so that's kind of how we got to know Joe.
Awesome.
That's great.
Do you guys actually have any like interesting tour stories from over the years? Like anything that was like super? I mean, obviously a van blowing the tires
We
crazy.
we
but-
do,
Oh man. Oh man.
but
I don't know if we need to get into
speaking,
I wish we could tell them all.
Oh yeah.
I will. So let's tell a couple.
Stone's the storyteller.
Let's
What,
do
like
it.
your favorite one each?
Christian,
So
you're a
when-
storyteller, so
When we had this blowout, so this is like a 1993 conversion van with like the leather seats and the TV and VCR.
smells like chlorine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just to like give you an idea of our personalities, I'm driving, and we're going like, I don't know, 75, 80 maybe. And Evan's like pointing at the speedometer, and I'm like, oh yeah, we need to slow down. And Christian, as soon as like right as that happened, the tire blows out, and we're drifting across 4 lanes of interstate.
This is another
And I-
tire blowout.
or is this the same story?
Same story, same story.
Okay.
And so
Goofy movie.
yeah, we're watching a Goofy movie, is Christian's favorite movie.
Classic.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that happens. We're drifting, and I see this all in slow motion, like in my rearview mirror. Evan is like grasping everything next to him. Christian throws his arms up in the air like he's on a roller coaster. He's smiling ear to ear.
Oh man.
He's
Yeah.
got no worries.
But, hey, hold on, to be fair,
Guys are crashing.
you
Yeah.
think this is all fun and games, but you got to understand, we have a shower rod going across the van
Pots and
that
pans.
we hung pots and pans from. So
Yeah.
it truly was the Goofy movie.
Yeah.
Like how they pile it on top of that thing, and all the water bottles and like all the snacks that we had stuffed in every single crevice of this van. And so I'm like, all of this is about to fall on me.
So we don't crash. We barely get off the interstate, and we all get out of the van. We have no tools whatsoever to change this tire, and we're not completely out of the interstate because the tire wrapped around the axle and the van will not move. And so we're all like, let's try to push it out. And so Armando, we didn't even count or anything. And Armando just rams his shoulder into the back door of the van and dents it like immediately. It's got this huge dent in the back.
And I'm a pretty big. I'm a pretty big guy, so I thought I could move it by myself.
And so, yeah, we didn't. Anyways, someone else stopped that we knew just out of nowhere, and he had a bunch of cones in his trunk. And so we put cones out on the interstate to make people move over.
Yeah.
And this random guy pulled over, and he had tools in his truck that like hooked into his cigarette lighter. And so he's like sawing off the tire off the axle, and he's underneath our van, and
he's just shaking like a tree.
Yeah, every time an 18-wheeler. And so he leans his head out, and he looks at me and Armando, and he says, "Hey, tell my grandkids I love them." And he goes back underneath.
That's the only thing he said to us, too.
And all while this is going on, just another insight into Christian's personality. He walks up to me. I'm like pouring sweat. It's the middle of July. He walks up to me and he says, "Hey, Stone, come here." And so I like step off to the side, and he's like, "I think something stung me on the leg." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm sorry about that. We have much bigger problems right now."
I also used to be like allergic to wasps, so I was like trying not to panic a little bit.
Oh man!
Wait, we gotta tell you the mosquito story real quick too.
Last story before we go on.
Tell us the mosquito story.
Okay, you want to take it away? Okay. So, in the van, of course, and we are now in Minnesota.
Yep.
Correct. So we go from a dramatic tire blowout to we make it about 20 minutes from the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, feels amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like 65 degrees, maybe.
In the middle of the summer.
In the middle of the summer, yeah. So we could not find a place to stay, period. We were trying to get a hotel room because we were exhausted at this point. Anyway, so we find this campsite, nowhere the place available. So we're like, hey, we're going to have to sleep.
And it's so late we couldn't pay to get in, so we just drove in.
Probably 3 in the
Just-
morning.
Yeah, it's late or early, however you want to say it. And we parked next to this dam. And we're like, okay, well, this is going to be nice. This sounds soothing. Okay. We're going to open up the windows because it feels great.
Oh no!
All right. So I'm sleeping in the passenger seat, hood up, just like this the whole night. Stone, I look over at Stone. Stone is slightly tilts his driver's seat back. Legs are in the steering wheel. Okay. And then you got all the other guys. One of them takes the bench seat. One of them takes maybe the floor.
Yeah.
And then
I was sleeping on Brandon's base cab
with his neck,
with my
his neck is
in
like,
the L position.
and so,
Armando's neck was like this.
and then, so wait, first things first, what did the train come first? And then,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere, the loudest train horn we have ever heard. And it woke all of us up, and we
didn't
all,
realize we were next to train tracks. Is the other thing. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we had gotten out and walked around because like Evan was talking about, like it felt gorgeous outside and like we were beside a dam. It sounded pretty, so we just got out and walked around. Like never saw a train track, anything like that.
I thought we were about to get clobbered.
It sounded like it was coming directly at our face.
Yeah.
I
We
was thinking
were-
the floorboard just popped up, eyes really big, and just like it's my time to go, and just got to sleep.
So then after recovering from that, we all fall back asleep. Well, I'm like, keep hearing like mosquitoes in my ear and everything. And I'm just like, man, like, I'm itching. And I'm like, they don't stop. This is waking me up. I turn on my flashlight and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like hundreds. And I'm like, dude, Stone, hey. And he wakes up, and turns his flashlight on, and it just
just
multiplies. I don't know how many mosquitoes are in there.
Literally thousands. You can see through the windshield.
So we
In
woke
your
up
van.
and went. Yeah, we
Inside of it.
we woke up and went to get treated for the West Nile virus. I'm
All
just
the
kidding.
food that Christian talked about being- all the
Man,
food that Christian talked about being all the crevices of the van
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
We took
man.
mosquitoes from Minnesota back home.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
How many
that's terrible.
mosquito bites
Mosquitoes
did
are
you
the
guys all
worst.
walk away with?
My legs are swollen.
No, but seriously though, I know I joked about the West Nile virus thing, but we played a festival that day, and we were all like sick all day. We all like
Oh,
didn't
no.
feel good, so like
We slept literally an hour, if that. So that may have attributed a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Good.
sleeping like on a 90-degree angle with your neck.
Yeah. It was.
I'm gonna actually play
Yeah.
guitar like that at the show.
I
We
don't
do
think
have
I'm
a
built
picture.
for this kind of life.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to dig up the picture. We
Yeah.
took like a selfie from the back of the van, and you can see all of us like real excited about our night at the campsite. And
Oh
then
man.
Trying to look excited.
it's like that. It's like clickbait for like moments before tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's awesome.
Thanks for sharing those stories. So I wanted to get back to the new album for a little bit. So you guys recorded it as 3 separate EPs. So I'm assuming you guys recorded and wrote part 1, you wrote and recorded part 2, and then wrote and recorded part 3, correct? Or did you guys like write it all at once and release it over the course of a few years?
Yeah, we had planned on releasing each part each year, and
Okay.
then maybe even thought about, hey, can we do it in a shorter time span? Because really, being DIY and not having the ability to tour and promote, or like just really having the know-how to like really push an album well.
Right.
At the time, we were like, what if we split it up to keep our momentum? And so, like I said, back to when Armando and I would live together and we just ate cereal and watched Avatar: The Last Airbender every night. We would talk about the album and like talk
Yeah.
about the story. And so we would storyboard a good bit before we wrote any of it. So we
Okay.
kind of had like, what's the path that's getting taken here? What are we trying to say as an overarching theme? Like what's the end game here? And so we figured that out before we started anything else. But as far as like the actual details of lyric placement and song tracking and all that, we did record it, part, then part, then part, and we put it out ready.
I think it's really interesting because there's been bands who have done concept albums like that, like Thrice. They have the Alchemy Index 4 EPs to make 2 LPs. But I think what's really cool about what you guys did is you almost hear the evolution of the band from part 1 to part 2 to part 3, and hear the band grow and progress not only lyrically in the story, but also sound wise. You hear the band become a more mature version of Meadows by the time you hit part 3, and I think that is really cool because I can't think of another album that was written that way where you hear it like that.
Yeah, and our writing process was probably different for all 3. So
Right.
I think we kind of figured out something that we all just thrived on with the last set of songs.
Did you guys write the final track kind of like after all the other 3 parts were done, or was that kind of initially done with part 3 and then saved?
We wrote it after part 3, along with part 1, part 2, and part 3, but knew that we wanted to kind of have those play off of each other as far as part 1, part 2, and part 3, the songs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of like the intro and interlude tracks on the album. Having, at the beginning, the end as this all-encompassing song, this finalization of everything, and it's kind of back to what Armando is saying as far as like how much of that particular song do we want to just say this is what it is and this is the perspective it's written from. We almost kind of say, all right, you choose which perspective from the story it is written from, and maybe it's written from multiple perspectives.
That's really cool.
Who
And-
knows?
Yeah.
It's so
And-
beautiful. Like listening to it again today, I was like, oh man. Like I remember Sean right after the album came out, he was like in our group message, he was just like, guys, have you heard like the final song from Meadows? And I was like, I heard it, but I can't really remember it like in the moment. And then now having heard it a few times, I was like, oh my goodness, like it definitely stands out.
Oh yeah.
At the end, it's a beautiful ending.
And then having those guest vote, it's Kevin Kline, correct? I'm forgetting his name.
Mhm.
From
Yeah,
Valley Heart. I mean, that it starts off literally. I mean, obviously he's from Valley Heart, but even just musically, it starts off sounding like a song from Valley Heart. How did you guys get him on the record or on the song?
The funny thing is, we're all huge fans of Valley Heart, love their music,
Oh yeah.
but we had a show like 2 years ago now at this point, right? It was October.
2019. July.
I thought it was October.
It was early.
Really?
Summer.
Anyway, a few years ago, we had a random show come together that we played at one of our basically one of our neighboring friends in the area. Put this on in their garage, and Valley Heart had an off day coming through the area, so they ended up hopping on, and we just got to play a show with them, and it was really one of those kind of like low-key sort of situations, and we ended up just getting to spend a lot of time with them and connecting with them, and kind of stayed in touch through that, and have just kind of messaged back and forth here and there, and ended up just having this song ready, and just couldn't get him out of our mind for how the sound needed to be. And we're like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you would just accompany this sound so well. So it was just really a blessing to get to work and collaborate with him on that. Just kind of having the initial melodies, Christian, like when we were kind of workshopping all the melodies and kind of getting to collaborate with Kevin on that, and just where it ended up, like we couldn't be happier with it.
That's awesome. And I was listening to it today, and when I got to that song, being a huge Valley Heart fan myself, I love Everyone I've Ever Loved. Such a phenomenal
Mhm.
record. It almost felt like lyrically, this could almost be like the sequel to that album, which I think is really, really cool. Because that album is like struggling through your faith, or struggling through like a deconstruction of your faith, however you read into it. And then this song is kind of finding your faith, coming to the end of your road and surrendering. And I almost want to now listen to that Valley Heart record and then play this song at the very end. I think that would be a really surreal experience. And so I think that shows a lot of artistry, to be able to call back to that, you know? So, yeah.
It's a Meadows and Valley Heart split EP coming in 2022.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be sick.
I would be so down.
Valley Heart Meadows tour would be even better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Speak it into existence.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
ready.
I mean, Tooth and Nail and Face Down aren't too far off.
Yeah, which we're actually going on a tour with a Tooth and Nail band in less than 2 weeks now. Idle Threat from Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
I'm
awesome!
so
Yeah,
excited
so-
for their
Because
album.
they're about to release their album as well.
Yeah, so we're doing this run with them in support of their upcoming record. So we're really excited for that.
Awesome. Have you guys gotten a chance to hear it?
A lot.
Nice.
Well, I can't stop listening to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've absolutely loved the single so far.
Mhm.
Yeah. What have your guys' favorite albums this year been so far?
Favorite albums this year?
Glow On Turnstile.
That's
Is
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
Unanimously.
That would-
I think
Unanimous?
collectively that's it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to listen to that one because
What?
Oh, y'all.
As an overall album, that's a work of art, just front to back. You know, it just, yeah, it's great.
I need to listen to it a few more times. I listened to it for the first time, I think, last week because I heard all the hype. I had never heard Turnstile before, so I looked it up. It was definitely, I'd never heard anything like it. Extremely unique, and I think I wasn't prepared for it to be that unique, so I need more listens for it to catch on. But I could definitely
Mhm.
appreciate what they were doing artistically.
Yeah.
I think
I'm trying to
this
think
is
what
the
else came
perfect-
out this year, honestly. You know,
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Same.
I'm struggling to think of other albums that have come out this year because it's been such a whirlwind.
Earth is a Black Hole by Teenage Wrist.
Oh,
That came out
okay.
way earlier in the year. That's a really good album. They're like front to back. It's a very solid album.
I will say as a you gonna give me that?
I gave the back of your head the mic.
So it's an album that came out several years ago, probably close to like 2010. I'm not exactly sure on the year that it came out, but it got posted to Apple Music and Spotify today. It's a band from Alabama called In Irons. The album is Heartbeat of the Times, and it absolutely shaped like a lot of my style, like our style, like the like just good melodic hardcore. Like if they were still around, like you guys would eat it up on KingdomCore.
Oh, are they a spirit-filled hardcore band?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're gonna check that out. That brings us. I know Chris was really wanting to ask this, so Chris,
Yes.
you can ask this.
Thank you. So we have a special segment on the show that we started doing, and we honestly should maybe start preparing bands for this because they never know what to say. But we have a segment called A Decade Ago, and we actually asked you guys, what is your favorite album or just an album that meant a lot to you that came out a decade ago? And right now that's 2011.
In the Christian rock or metal
In the Christian
scene,
scene,
yeah.
yes.
2011. I was in
We should
high
just get a
school.
list of
Oh,
everything.
I
in
heard someone say the
2011
Chariot.
Was the Chariot
Yeah.
putting
Is
out
that One
something?
Wing or is that Long Live that year? That was Long Live, right?
I'm so bad with
Okay,
years.
Long Live, I wore that
Yeah.
out.
If
Yes.
Long Live is
That
there-
probably was stuck in my CD player in my maximum.
dude, that maximum. Evan busted my
Oh.
eardrum in that maximum.
Oh,
with
man.
his
It
song.
was neither. Long Live's 2010 and One Wing is 2012.
Oh,
Dang.
oh man.
Missed it by that much.
Trash.
Oh shoot.
Was that oh gosh, Someday Came Suddenly by Attack Attack?
Oh
Was
my
that that year?
gosh.
That was like 2007
Yeah.
No.
or 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was
we
before
were young.
2011.
We were young.
Was that 2011?
No,
It,
it was way before then.
it was maybe 2010. Come on.
2008.
Yeah,
I probably knew.
I was gonna say Atrocities, but I take it back. But that came out 2009.
Oh,
Aw.
There was some Face Down releases that year.
there
All right,
were.
what's Face Down got that year?
What did Face Down have that year?
Well, that was
Give Me
Hands,
Rest.
but we've already talked about that one.
Was it Hands Give Me Rest?
They can talk about
Yeah.
that if they want. Our first guest, Mike from Convictions, had that as his.
Yeah.
Was that year?
That
That's
was
100%.
2011. They repressed it. They did a
Yeah.
10-year repress this year.
I
Wow.
bought it.
I've got it.
So-
I mean, I've got it on my wall right here.
I was gonna wear the shirt, but it was dirty because I wear it all the time. That's another one of those albums, like legitimately, like front to back. I have no problems with it.
Yeah.
I can listen to it at any time.
Man,
This
there
is
was,
my top
That
10
was
all
the
time.
first.
there was
that
a
was the
lot
first
of good
band.
albums that year. So just Face Down. We have Hope for the Dying, Dissimulation, Onward to Olympus, The War Within Us, My Epic's Broken Voice, Call to Preserve, Validation,
Wow.
Immortal Souls, number 4, The Requiem of the Art of Death, A Plea for Purging, The Life
Yeah.
and the Death of
Oh
Plea for Purging,
yes.
Saving Grace, The King is Coming, In the Midst of Lion's Shadows,
That
A
album.
Hope
What a
for Home,
good year.
In Abstraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a massive year.
Abstraction is so good.
Yeah, so honestly, I guess it was that year. I listened to that In the Midst of Lions album nonstop and A Hope for Home. They were two of my favorite bands at that time that really shaped the way that I play music personally. So they're
I can
and-
see that you guys have definitely some similarities in sound
Definitely.
with them.
What are some bands that influenced Meadows? Who is Meadows' biggest influences? What, even not just bands, but like musicians in general? Who are bands and musicians that you guys have looked up to and tried to emulate or bring a little bit of what they have to your guys' music?
Yeah, for me, like off the bat, Aaron Weiss, Me Without
Yep.
You. So Brother Sister was the first time I heard something like that, and I was like, I want to do this.
I just turned 15 last week, I believe.
Yeah, when they were coming to Furnace Fest, I was so pumped.
Yeah.
They were on the same day that we were. Unfortunately, they had to drop, but they were doing the brother sister like tour and everything, and I was just jazzed up. So that for me was like the moment I thought, wow, like I love the way that he writes. Like it's so visual and metaphoric and like impactful at the same time. There's just a lot to uncover every time you hear the song. You get a different like moment that sticks out, kind of thing. Or you've got those moments that absolutely hit you in the gut every time. So that would definitely be it for me. Aaron Weiss.
Musically, well, band wise, I know I mentioned Defeater counterparts, Combat Kid.
Come on, don't take them all.
Well, I just as far as like influence go, but like as a drummer, specifically, Matt Greiner. Although I could never play what he plays, that dude played at Furnace Fest a solid 10-minute drum solo.
Oh yeah, it's a sight to behold.
Had to take an ice bath after that. I mean, but like that, you could tell that he's got a good heart. Big time.
Oh yeah.
So. Not even being a drummer, like just watching him play is so inspirational.
It's true.
Yeah. I'd say Title Fight, Touche Amore, Pianos Become the Teeth. That's kind of like,
that's a good
I guess, my go-to bands. And then just collectively as a band, I'll just go ahead and mention we all really love Have Heart. Yeah. We actually like went on Armando's bachelor trip to go see them play on their like reunion little tour. Just like that classic hardcore, vibe. We just all really like that.
Like Stone mentioned, there's like a few bands that we collectively really love, like for influence. But then I think it's really neat that we all kind of have a lot of like variety of different influences that we have individually too. Because like for me, I'm a really big fan of the band From Indian Lakes.
Ooh, they're good.
And like
they're good.
From the indie influence, I listen to like a lot of softer music and like more atmospheric, like instrumental stuff. So I really enjoy kind of like taking from that side of things, and kind of like From Indian Lakes, As Cities Burn, kind of like in that realm of music.
I hate to copy other people, but I will never forget listening to Me Without You with Christian. Christian actually introduced me to that band. And I listen to them at least twice, maybe 3 times a week since he introduced me to them, and probably 2015 maybe.
Oh wow.
It's a shame that I hadn't heard of them before then. Right now I listen to Chamber a good bit, Vane a good bit, a band called Frail Body a lot. I've been really into them lately. Circus Survive is probably my like favorite band of all time.
You hear their new single today?
Yes. Still trying to figure it out, and don't know what to make of it yet, but
Christian, you don't like it?
Everything
you shook your head.
I haven't heard. I didn't know they put something out today.
Oh no, yeah, they announced a new EP today.
You got breaking news.
You had that look of just like,
I gotta check it out.
Y'all missed the group text.
Too busy planning my football strategy to beat Sean. What's y'all's favorite band of all time? Both of y'all.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Chris, you go first.
All right, I can answer that one. My favorite band.
Are you guys interviewing us now?
Yeah. That's how it works when the interviewers suck.
That's how it works when you guys are so personable and relatable and friendly and kind.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, stop it.
You're giving them more time to think about it. Answer now.
Yeah.
No, we already know our answers.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before ourselves, and mine is Falling Up. If I had to pick one,
okay.
They're just one of those bands that ever since like they had such a huge journey, and like from beginning to end, it sounds totally different. Like not even the same band, but just everything they've made, I just find just sounds great. And I absolutely love all their albums.
So for me, my favorite band of all time is Amber Lynn. I'm a huge Amber Lynn fan. I like that. That means you guys
started
them.
on Tooth and Nail.
We saw them at
Furnace Fest.
Oh, you guys saw them over Beloved?
I saw. So this is the other great thing about the artist pass, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, we were very sleuthy. We were zooming around all lost.
Because I
There
saw
was
the
some-
schedule and I saw Amberlyn and Beloved playing at the same time, and I was
that's
like,
what
if I was there, I would have
That's
a fit
awful.
trying to choose
It was
between
tough.
Beloved and my favorite band ever.
It was hard. Yeah.
That was the toughest stretch. I remember there was a third band that was playing on the heart support stage where we played. I can't remember who it was. I just remember that block was like the most difficult to decide what to do. I think it was Touche, actually.
I was about to say it was too.
It was
Yeah,
Touche.
because
So
Oh,
I
I
caught a
called
little
there was
bit,
like 3 songs
Yeah.
of theirs
Yeah.
just jetted to
caught
go
a
see
little bit of
Amberlyn.
them. And then I sprinted over around by the backstage area for Beloved, and then kept on backstage and found this like secret passageway that wound up behind Amberlyn. And
Nice.
I'm definitely super excited to see that. I think some of like Emery's crew that did their like live album streams, they recorded Beloved set, and they're going to be releasing it on YouTube,
Mhm.
like in
that's
like
cool.
nice high quality
Yeah.
audio and everything.
Ooh, that would be cool. Yeah, but Amberlyn, they've been my favorite band since. So I've known about them for a long time when I was getting into music back in around like 2012, 2013, when I started getting into rock and then more of the metal stuff. But they just never clicked with me until they were on their farewell tour and they had already played a date in my city. So I'm getting
That's
into a band who's literally about to play their last show ever in a month. And I'm like, what have I done? Like, I love this band so much. I never thought I'd see them live ever again. Never thought they'd get back together. Neither did they. Then they got back together, and I got to see them on their reunion tour, which was incredible. And now they've got new music coming out. They just released a new song, Two Graves, which is amazing. It's their first new song in 7 years. So
And it's heavy.
it's heavy. Have you guys heard it?
I have not. I need to check it out.
Oh, you guys need to check it out after this.
Also, Chris, your double song review was awesome for us.
Yes.
That you did.
Oh yeah,
Oh my gosh.
The reaction video. We watched that. We were like sending it to each other. Like,
Yeah.
hey, look at this.
We were so excited
Awesome.
about that.
It was really cool, man.
it was so good because it's pretty rare. Almost every band that signs to Face Down, like in the last 5 years, I know of the band before they sign. And you guys were actually one of like the first ones in a long time that I can remember that I'm like, I've never heard of these guys. Why have I never heard of them?
Join the club, bro.
As
It's fine.
soon as you guys signed, I went and checked out your guys' stuff on Spotify and listened to like the first EP, and I'm like, this is good. I am looking forward to this. And the album did not disappoint.
Not at all. Definitely going to be up there on my list when I make my top 20 of the year.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks
We're
for
just happy
to
the
be a
kind
part.
word.
You guys were just mentioned in another video I just dropped. I just did top 10 of Q3 of 2021. And
Sweet.
I'll let you guys watch it. You have to find
Yeah.
out where I
All
put
right.
it.
Let's take a
Oh,
look.
yeah,
Let's take a
nice.
look.
He's like, it'll be at the beginning of the video. You won't have to watch it too much.
Don't worry about it.
It's in the honorable mention.
Honorable mention. These guys kind of suck, but it's all right. They were nice.
I'll give you a hint. It's towards the end of the video.
Oh,
Cool.
there you go. That's cool. Guys, what's next for Meadows?
We're about to start writing the next record, man.
Yeah.
We've got kind of some storyboarding going on already.
Okay.
We'll just kind of tease it with that, but
Yeah.
man, we're excited. I think it's hard to top this year as far as like just everything that happened for us. But God's good, so we're just
Amen.
gonna trust Him to
Yeah.
decide what the next step is and open the right doors for us, and just praying for the right mindset and heart and courageousness and all the good stuff to walk through those doors and deliver passionate music that we're proud of. So
Mhm.
we're excited. We got stuff coming. Literally right before we jumped on this call, this is our practice space, so we're riffing a little bit.
Nice.
I wish I would have asked this sooner, not to dive back into the interview, but you guys are very obviously open about Christianity in your guys' lyrics and all being Christians. What kind of role does faith play in the songwriting, in your guys' your guys' performance on stage, when you guys are meeting people at the merch tent. What does Christianity mean to Meadows as a band?
I don't want to like completely like. I feel like people always preface things by saying I don't want to over spiritualize it, and then like do. But I mean, it's everything.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, if it weren't for that, we wouldn't be doing this. To be honest, you know, we've got wives, we've got mortgages, we've got dogs. You know, like there's enough
That's
going
what
on
it is.
outside of it where, you know, we love the music, we love connecting with people, but you know, there's a dying world and a very, you know, hurting scene. You know, and so one thing that was mentioned to me from a pastor of mine a while back, you know, is I'm just one beggar telling another beggar where I found bread. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at, you know.
I just want to say thank you guys so much for spending your evening with us, spending your time. It's greatly appreciated to have you guys here on the podcast with us. And hopefully we get to do it again sometime soon in the near future.
Yeah, the sooner you guys do that new album, the sooner we can have you back.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
As soon as I beat you in fantasy, Sean, I'll come
Oh,
on.
so we're talking talking in a couple of years, or?
Let's go.
Cool, guys. Thanks so much for being on. It's been an honor. We really appreciate it. Before you guys sign off, would you guys just tell people where they can find you guys online?
We've got a website, mdwsband.com. So Meadows without the vowels, band.com. You can also get to our Facebook that I had to recreate because someone hacked our initial one under Meadows Band instead of Meadows. If you find that one, you found the wrong one. Sorry. But we're on all the streaming platforms. We're on YouTube and all that. If you ask somebody from Facedown or just keep spamming KingdomCore's inboxes, you'll find us.
We'll have the links in the description down below on YouTube and hopefully in the show notes on streaming services.
Awesome.
Well, with that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great rest of your night.
Thank you guys.
Same.
Appreciate it.
Lord Bomb, thanks.
Let the dead